Okay. Let's go ahead and get started now that I've shoveled in my dinner and you all had to sit here and watch me do it. So tonight we are going to make a appetizer appetizer pizza. I always called this appetizer pizza because when I was growing up, somebody always brought this to a potluck 100% of the time. But it was made with crescent rolls from a can. They would lay out the crescent rolls, bake them, top them with this ranch cream cheese. And I always absolutely loved it. So I thought that this would be a good use for no carb easy bread. And I called it appetizer pizza because we never ate it as a meal. It was always one little piece on our plate at a potluck, but you could totally eat this as a meal. Now that I just ate pizza, I'll probably still eat a piece. I wasn't even thinking about that. And then we're going to make salted caramel butter bites, which I am not mad about. I am excited to try that. I've still got people joining. So if you haven't yet, please preheat your ovens to 350 degrees. And I will start us walking through the steps. We're going to start with our no carb easy bread. If you do not have no carb easy bread, you should have the copycat mix from Nicole Birch from Life in the Treehouse, which I linked when I sent out the emails and I've mentioned on the page a couple of times. So hopefully you have that ready. So I will walk you through. I'm such a professional. I just ate. Now I'm like, bleh, bleh. I'm just such a professional. I will walk you through all of the steps. I've got to figure something out. Vicky, my screen is not. There we go. Okay, there we go. That's better. I had something messed up. Okay. All right. Tracy is going to write down the steps as we go in the comments so that if you get behind, I have them sent out in email. Tracy will be writing them down. You can also come off mute and ask your question if you get behind, if you forget, if it's so easy to do. I just realized my camera is the wrong direction. Hold up. There we go. If you get stuck, please it's okay to come off mute, ask your question. I just ask that as we continue, when you're done with your question, that you please go back on mute, because even if you don't think there's any background noise, it's hard with this many people on a Zoom call. It ends up being very difficult and inevitably there's some background noise. So, okay, let's go ahead and do this, shall we? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our no carb easy bread. Hold on just a second. My camera's upside down on the counter.
It looks upside down.
Is that better?
There. Yes. Okay. Thank you. It was trippy. I was like, oh, what's going on?
All right. So let's go ahead. Make sure your ovens are preheated to 350 degrees. And then go ahead and grab a mixing bowl. And we are going to start by mixing up our no carb easy bread. As I have said, if you haven't heard or haven't been here for classes in the past, Nicole's recipe, no carb easy bread, whatever, I do not get particular with putting this together. I whip up my egg whites for a few seconds. I throw in my bread mix. I throw in my water. I whip it up and I pour it onto my parchment quickly. Like as soon as I'm done mixing, I'm going to pour this onto my parchment. That makes it easier to spread out. If it sits too long, it thickens and then you have to kind of spread it out under parchment. But I find the easiest way to do it is mix it and pour it quickly. So you're going to want to pour this onto a cookie sheet or a large bar pan of some sort. Do your best to get it shaped as rectangular as you can. But if it's cockeyed, don't worry about it. Who cares? It's pizza. Does it really matter if it's crooked? I think not. All right. Let's go ahead and grab a mixing bowl. Try not to get your messy bun stuck on your spice rack, because that could be potentially bad. And we're gonna start with 1 1/3 cup of liquid egg whites. I like to use egg beaters. I use the generic egg beaters, even I can't even get it in the camera because my camera's definitely upside down, Tracy. She's got me all turned around, that Tracy Ellen. Oh, it's still upside down. Doesn't matter what I do, it's upside down.
That's what I'm saying.
I make everybody nauseous, flipping it and flipping it and flipping it.
Don't look at the counter right now.
Usually I can hold stuff and it will show. I don't know what I've done.
There, that's better.
There we go. Okay.
Okay.
I like to use the generic brand of the yellow egg beaters, but you can use plain egg whites. You can use fresh egg whites. Whatever you have will work. So 1 1/3 cup of egg whites, and you're just going to whip it until it's a little fluffy. You don't have to whip it into I don't think I measured that right. You should measure right though, just an FYI. You should measure accurately when doing no carb easy bread.
Hey, do you know why I can't see your counter facing camera?
You might have to change your view. So in your upper right hand, corner, there's a view button. And you may need to change it to speaker.
Okay, thank you.
I didn't get my mixer ready. Is that a shocker that I didn't have everything ready? I know you're all surprised. I laid everything out.
Using a manual whisk work good enough?
You could, yeah. Yeah, you could. You just want to whisk it pretty good. You want it a little fluffy. It does not need to be whipped into a frenzy. It does not need to be a meringue or anything like that. It just needs to get some air in there.
Okay, I've got plenty of bubbles in it, so.
Okay. I'll show you how much I whisked mine. That's about it. That's all I do. And don't get too wrapped up in it. Then you're going to add 3/4 cup of water and
If they want to see your, okay.
Say again.
I was gonna say she wants to see your egg curtain again.
I just have generic egg beaters. Egg mates.
Can't not do that when you say that, huh?
I can't. So for your baking sheet, you should use parchment. Guess what I ran out of today by accident?
Parchment!
So I'm going to use a silicone baking mat and hope for the best. Last time when we did no carb easy bread, some folks had the no carb easy bread stick to the parchment. I have never had it stick to parchment, but if you are concerned about that, give your parchment a light spray. I'm going to attempt it on a silicone baking mat and see what happens.
Oh dear.
And I am going to spray my mat. So, okay.
When you add your water, do you?
Go ahead.
Angela, you muted yourself.
Sorry. When you add your water, do you whisk it again?
No, nope. I stick my no carb easy bread and my 3/4 cup of water in there, and then I whisk it. And as soon as it's well combined, which only takes a couple of, a few seconds, then I pour it straight onto my mat, my parchment.
Berkey,
How much water?
Berkey.
Oh, sorry, too late.
It is not. You could have dumped that out.
It's 3/4 cup of water. See, that's all I do. It's still pretty liquid. So while it's still liquid, I take the time, I pour it out right away. That way it's so much easier to spread.
Is your mixer that quiet?
I think it's just mic canceling.
Okay. Interesting. Pour
And
quick.
then on your pan, you want to spread it out as large and thin as you can get it without being see-through. You don't want holes in it. You just want to get it as even and spread out as you can. Sometimes it takes a little, patience. This is why I like to do it when it's liquid, because it spreads out a lot easier. If it gets too thick and you're like, man, this isn't spreading, lay parchment on the top and push it with your hands to spread it out.
Unless you don't have parchment.
Unless you don't have parchment, right? And if you have a giant hair stuck to your baking mat, you should pull that off first. Because nobody wants hair in their pizza at Christmas. I mean, most people.
I was saying maybe they do.
Maybe they do. Maybe like the extra fiber. I have 2. There we go. Jeepers.
Goodness. Keep
Oh,
that
wait.
in your head.
You know what I ordered today? That's going to hopefully mean less hair in my cooking. I ordered
A brush?
vacuum cleaner.
Oh. I thought you meant a vacuum cleaner for your hair.
Hairnet.
Say again. A hairnet.
Yeah, hairnet.
I know, that would be a better idea. I just got a vacuum cleaner instead.
I thought you meant a vacuum cleaner for your hair. I'm like, what is that?
No, I got a robotic.
Just gonna
Vacuum
suck it
cleaner
out.
mop.
That makes a lot more sense.
KJ, I have to tell you, Kinsley Joe just FaceTimed me, and when she found out I was taking another cooking class, she's mad at us.
Oh,
Oh,
sweet
no.
girl.
You.
She is mad at me, and she's mad at her mommy because she wanted to see KJ and the girls.
Oh.
Well, she'll
How
have
old
to
is
come
she?
to the next one.
She was 5 in September.
What a sweetie.
Our next one is December 9th. I don't remember what we're making that night.
Yeah, I'm having my eye surgery that day, so
Oh, no.
I know. Maybe she can do it for me.
Maybe she
There you
can.
go.
She did her first sewing project. She was here yesterday. She made a pillow all by herself. She did it all. She even
Aw.
used my sewing machine by herself.
Good for her.
Of course, she was sitting on my lap, but she did it by herself.
Okay.
Dang it.
So now I have my crust spread out. I have it as even as I can possibly get it. This is what it should look like, something like this. I just kind of poked the edges up so it can stay kind of rectangular.
Why is this-
And then we're gonna throw that in the oven. The oven is at 350.
Oh.
Now typically I bake this at 425, but because our oven needs to be 350 for our butter bites, I will cook this at 350. And you know what? I've done it a million times at a million different temperatures, and not once has it made a difference. It just might take a couple minutes longer. It's fine. It's fine. It doesn't need to be that scientific.
You're
Can I see
on
what it
some-
looks like? I didn't see it.
Yep. Can you see? It's in my second camera. I'll hold
Oh,
it
I'm
up
not
here.
seeing a second camera. Oh, yours looks so much better than mine. Oh, wow.
Yeah, you want to go up to, if you can't see the second camera, you want to go up to view on your, either your phone or your computer. And change the
Okay.
view, and you should be able to see both of my cameras.
All right. I know I
quick
saw 'em
question.
last time.
Yours is so much thinner, which means you have to have a larger pan. Should I cut mine in half to make mine thinner, or it'll just be a thicker crust?
Mhm.
Well, it'll take longer to cook. It'll be a thicker crust. This is a regular, typical size cookie sheet. What size pan are you using?
I think it's a 9 by 13.
Yeah, I think that's what this is.
Cookie sheet usually like 11 by 17.
Or that, yeah, mine's smaller.
Maybe. Okay.
10
Yeah,
by 12.
you could scoop some of it out, spread it thinner, take that excess and put it on a smaller pan, then you can have like a side pizza,
Okay, I'll do that. Thanks.
or you could put some cheese on the other one and roll it up and bake it and be like a cheese twirl thingamajig.
On December 9th, you're making Muddy Buddies and Down
Peanut
and
butter
Dirty
pie.
peanut butter pie.
That's right. It's Merry
Yep.
Christmas, you filthy animal class.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so go ahead and throw that in the oven. Set your timer for 15 minutes and we'll check it at 15 and see how it looks. If you can leave room in your oven, like slide this in sideways so you have room in your oven to add your butter bite crust, then do so. Okay, I am going to wash out my no carb easy bread bowl. And the next step that we're gonna do, we're gonna require a mixing bowl to combine our ingredients. So if you want to wash this bowl or get a different one, I'm gonna go ahead and wash mine up real quick.
I'm sorry, I was trying to find the view and I didn't hear how long I need to put this in the oven for.
You want to set your timer for 15 minutes and then we'll check it at that point.
All right,
Hey,
thanks.
TJ, you said something about turning the pan sideways, but my oven's not that big.
Okay. Worst case scenario, you just have to wait until your pizza crust comes out to throw your butter bite crust in if you don't have room for both, which is fine. We'll be time wise, we won't be too far apart.
Will it be the same size pan?
For what? For the butter bites? The butter bites you can do in a mini muffin tin or you can do it in an 8x8 pan, either one.
I have a toaster oven. Can I use that?
Sure. Do you use it to bake normally?
All the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
KJ, if we do the butter bites in the mini tins, do we need to put the paper liners in there?
Yes, I haven't gotten there yet.
Okay.
Okay, so in our mixing bowl, my nose itches. We are going to combine our almond flour, so 2 cups of almond flour.
Somebody isn't muted and it's really giving us feedback.
Let me go ahead.
Somebody
and mute
besides
everyone.
KJ.
There we go. All right. So 2 cups of almond flour. This is my favorite almond flour. I get it at Sam's Club. I find it much cheaper there than anywhere else. This big bag is like, I think $12 for, and it's a huge bag. It's 48 ounces. Don't ask me how many pounds that is because I don't know. It's whatever 48 divided by 16 is. But this is my favorite.
3 pounds.
Okay, thank you. Oh, I'm so good at math. All right, so
I
almond
cheated.
flour.
It's on the bottom of the bag.
To that, we're gonna add a 1/2 cup of sweetener. So you can do Swerve confectioners or you can do Gentle Sweet here. Either one will work. The original recipe calls for Swerve, but she does note that you can use Gentle Sweet. So 1/2 cup, I'm gonna use Swerve. Mainly because I just ordered a ton of Swerve on sale today, so I've got some to use up.
Wait, what? And you didn't share that information?
It was on Thrive. Thrive Market has some on sale today, 30% off.
I have Thrive.
And I had some Thrive bucks to burn. Okay, so 2 cups of flour, almond flour, 1/2 cup of your sweetener, 2 tablespoons of coconut flour. I had some questions about if I don't have coconut flour, can I replace it? I have not tried this crust by replacing it, but I'm positive it will work. Just use more almond flour, or you can use baking blend would work really good as well. So 2 tablespoons of coconut flour. some people really hate coconut flour. I don't like it as my only flour. I don't mind it as a small portion. I find that a small portion helps my crust to be crispy. I use it in my pie crust and it gives a nice, it just really helps it crisp up. Okay, so salt. We need 1/4 teaspoon of salt. You're just gonna mix those together. You can use a whisk, or if you use a whisk, it will more finely combine, but I don't do all that. This is fine. Just use a whisk. I mean, a spoon.
I'm sorry to do this. 2 teaspoons or tablespoons of coconut flour.
2 tablespoons. And don't be sorry.
Okay.
Okay. 1/4 teaspoon of salt you should have in there now. Now you're going to add to that 6 tablespoons of melted butter. So you want to go ahead and melt your butter. 6 tablespoons of it.
Okay, say it, Kinsley.
Hi.
Hi. We miss you.
You hear that? They miss you. I know.
AJ, all I have is butter flavored coconut oil. Is that going to be okay, do you think?
I think it should be okay.
I'm going to try it.
yeah,
I'll let you know.
I haven't tried it, but I think it should be fine. Coconut oil, you gotta watch it more when you're cooking. It tend to burn quicker than butter. Lost count 6. And sometimes I find it makes recipes a little more crumbly. But if you're doing it in a tin where you're just putting them in little muffin tins, it won't matter if it's crumbly because you're going to pick up the whole thing, pop it in your face. So it don't matter, right? Okay, 6 tablespoons of melted butter. I forgot to set my timer. How long's my bread been in there? How long's anybody's bread been in there? That might help me know.
I
I've
put
been
mine
in
in
for
the
8.
same time you did, and I have 8 minutes left.
Okay, thank you.
You said to set the timer for 15 minutes at 7:24.
Okay. Okay, you're gonna mix in your melted butter and 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. You're just gonna mix it well. You should get like a kind of a dough, might be a little crummy. Crummy? That makes it sound like it's bad. 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. A crummy commercial, that's what I think of every time I hear the word crummy. Just want to mix it and mix it and mix it. And eventually that butter will spread through that almond flour and turn into like a pastry dough. I think these are going to be delicious. I made this recipe once before and it was very good.
How many muffin tins are we gonna need?
You know, she does not specify here in her recipe. So what I'm going to do, because we're going to use 1/2 of this for the bottom, we're going to add our caramel, and then we're gonna put more of the crust on the top. So she says to use half of it. So once I mix it, I'm gonna take half and set it aside. And that way I know exactly what I have to just go ahead and mix and put in the bottom of my tins. So I'm probably, oh gosh. I'm gonna guess maybe I'll have to look once I start putting it together. I'm gonna guess maybe a teaspoon is what it's gonna need. So once you mix it all together, you should be able to squeeze it and have it stick together like a dough. And then you know you've got it mixed well. It's crumbly, but it will stick if you squeeze it together. So just take out half of that and set it aside for the bottom or for the top. We're setting it aside for the top. Okay, I'm going to start with probably my guess is where'd my muffin cups go? I'm gonna guess at least a dozen, probably more like 18. And I'm gonna do a teaspoon. Let me go ahead and test this out. Test my theory. Where's my teaspoon? Okay, this is a 2 teaspoons, so I'll do half of this. So 1 teaspoon pushed down looks just about right. You see that? Hold it up here in case you can't. An 8 by 8. She says to use, let's see. She says to use an 8 by 8 pan. And she does not say to grease it though. And I think that's because there's plenty of fat in your crust between the almonds, almond flour, and the butter. So she says an 8 by 8 pan or these little muffin tins. So that's about what mine looks like.
KJ,
Yes.
would you put anything like parchment paper down in the 8 by 8 or not?
She does not say to. Nope.
Okay. Okay.
KJ, are you using mini muffin or regular size muffin?
Mini.
All right, thanks.
So I would go with a teaspoon and we'll see how many I get. I'm going to guess I'm going to get this whole pan at least by the looks of it. So once you put a teaspoon in the bottom of your muffin, just go ahead and press it down. If you've got something the size of that muffin tin to press it down, it would make it easier, or you can just poke it down with your fingers, which is what I'm going to do. If you prefer a thicker crust on things, you could put 2 teaspoons. That's really up to you with these muffin cups. That's how I approach my baking. If I want a thicker crust, I make my crust thicker and make less of what they call, if they say it's going to make 20, I double the crust and make 10. It's okay. It's your food, do what you want. It really won't affect anything negatively.
So for those of us that are doing 8 by 8s, can we just go ahead and press that half of it into the 8 by 8?
Yes. Yep. Put it in your
Awesome.
8 by 8 pan and just press it down. If I get to the end of this muffin pan and I have a ton of crust left, I'm probably going to put an extra teaspoon in mine rather than do a second batch. I think I'm just going to make a thicker crust. That's if you have 2 mini muffin tins and you want to do it, more butter bites, you can. If you want to do less with a thicker crust, you can. Whatever you choose to do is perfectly fine.
If you happen to have one of those Pampered Chef, the old wooden press things, you could use one of those to press it down in there.
That would work perfect.
KJ, are we going to flip the no carb easy bread? Or are we going to flip it over like we did?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yep. When your timer goes off, your bread should be pretty dry. At that point, it shouldn't look really doughy. It should feel dry to the touch. You want to take it out and flip it over and put it back in for another 5 minutes.
If your I don't know if I would do it now. I forgot to remind everybody if they wanted to poke holes in their bread to make it not poof up.
Yeah,
If
I've
it-
never actually had that happen.
No.
Never gotten a bubble in mine.
If you don't have the Pampered Chef tool, a shot glass is perfect.
There you go. Hey, I got one of those somewhere.
Oh my.
People give them to me as souvenirs. I don't use them that much, I promise.
I take shots of oregano oil out of mine.
Mm-hmm. We use ours for our elderberry syrup. John thought it was funny. I was like, I'm gonna get a plain one. He was, no, I like using this one. Okay. From the old days.
You just want to,
KJ, it's telling me to take mine out. I don't know if it's time for you.
okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Good thing someone set a timer.
Tracy, I found little red solo shot cups.
Yes, I've seen those. Oh, I should get some of those. That would be hilarious.
Okay, so looking at my dough, it's pretty dry. It's not too doughy in the middle, so it's good to flip. I just don't want, if you touch your dough and it's wet, if you're like, ooh, it's still really squishy and wet, you're going to want to cook it a few more minutes before you flip it. Because when you flip it, you want it to hold together nice. There. Just flip it over and stick it back in for 5 more minutes and we'll check it at that point.
Oh, you just flipped the donut, not the sheet that it was on. Okay.
Huh?
Oh, never mind.
All right, well, I still have a ton of crust left and I've got my butter bites pretty thick here. So I think I am gonna have to get out another pan, make a little extra. Too much dessert. Oh no.
Are you
did you
saving?
flip your crust?
Whatever shall I do with extra dessert?
What, Crystal?
I said, how did you flip your crust?
Pick it up and flip it.
Yeah. If
Okay,
it's
and then-
dry enough, it'll flip. You can just pick it up and flip it.
And then do I take off the parchment?
No, you're not gonna flip the parchment. You're just gonna pick up the dough, flip it over back onto the parchment.
Okay.
So you're
thank
not
you.
If
touching
it
the parchment.
sticks,
You're
you can
welcome.
always flip it with the parchment, peel the parchment off and put it back in the oven without the parchment because it's not going to stick at this point. It's so dry on the top, it's not going to stick at this point, so it won't hurt anything.
KJ, did you say you need to save some of that dough for the top?
Yes, yes, you're using half of the dough
Okay.
at the bottoms.
How many minutes to go back in for the bread?
5 more minutes and then we'll check it at 5 minutes. Making a mess over here. I know that's a big shock.
Hey Jay, are those little squares?
Yes.
That's adorable. Where'd you
Is
get that from?
This is a brownie pan
Probably
from
Pampered Chef.
mini brownie pan from Pampered Chef.
They're new. You know, I always think I want one of those, and then I remember I have to clean it,
Yes.
and I change my mind.
Yes, they're good if you have a dishwasher. If you don't have a dishwasher, forget it. Don't waste your time. But I like to make Bam bites in this. It's very good.
I want to make little mini brownie bites, like they make them in those bags that you
Yeah.
get 5 stupid brownie pieces.
Yeah.
You got to eat a whole box to fill up.
All right. We are going to put this in the oven. It says for 10 minutes. I start everything under. I start at 8 because I would be horrified if everybody burnt their butter bites. So I'm gonna start at 8 minutes, and if they're not too golden, then I'll go to 10. If you have room in your oven, put them in next to your pizza crust. If you do not have room in your oven, we can wait. The bread will be out in just a couple more minutes. So you can do whatever works for you. If it doesn't fit, you won't get lost because the next few steps are pretty simple. So go ahead and put them in your oven.
I have a quick question. Excuse my sexy, sick voice. Do you think the 8x8 dough is going to bake any differently than your little mini ones?
She still says 10 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
So I think you're just looking for like a nice brown. You don't want it dark golden. You're not looking for real dark, just a nice light golden brown.
Okay, thank you.
This crust, this type of crust, you can eat completely raw. This is more to give it a toasty flavor than anything else, because this type of crust can eat raw. My cheesecake crust is very similar to this, and I don't even cook it. Somebody saw my recipe and said, "You eat the crust raw?" I'm like, it's just almond flour and sweetener.
There's no egg in it.
How many mini bites did you get?
I got
1
2,
billion.
4, 6, 8, 10, 12. I got 36. Okay, I'm gonna check my no carb easy bread, because the timer went off. What I'm looking for with this is a nice dry feeling. I'm looking to be able to push it and have it pretty spongy, have it come back up. I don't want my fingerprint to stay in there. I think mine can go another 1 to 2 minutes because my fingerprint is staying just a little more than I want. So I'm going to go ahead and cook mine for probably 2 more minutes. You're just looking for a nice dry so that inside it's not all doughy, so that when you poke it with your fingers, the indentation doesn't stay forever. You just want it to kind of spring back. And I'm also going to wash my bowl. Because the next thing that we are going to do is mix up the topping for our pizza and set that aside. So I'm going to go ahead and wash my bowl real quick.
AJ, did I misunderstand about the butter bites? You said you got 36, but I thought we were doing 18 with half the dough.
I got 36 out of half the dough. I said you could do a thinner crust and do more. You could do a thicker crust and do less. I did about 2 teaspoons per cup, and I got 36.
I got 18.
With 2 teaspoons? Maybe your muffin tins are bigger than mine.
I say, did you do minis or regular muffins?
Minis.
Yeah.
You're gonna have really nice thick crusts.
Yeah, maybe you just got, did you do heaping teaspoons?
I mean, I did like 1 teaspoon in each one.
Was it a tablespoon?
Did you use?
No, it wasn't a tablespoon.
Did you use a teaspoon or like a metal teaspoon?
Maybe it was a tablespoon.
Did you use a measuring teaspoon or an eating teaspoon?
I hate measuring with those kind of spoons.
This right here is what I use. Can you see me?
I can't
Fine,
see.
Shirley.
I got about 18 also.
That's a
I used a regular teaspoon from my silverware drawer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I got
what
about
Shirley used.
18.
I used a teaspoon and I got 36.
See, a teaspoon is not really a teaspoon. That's why I don't like measuring with those things. It's more like a tablespoon.
Did you use one of these, Shirley? Because I can't see you.
Yes, KJ.
No, KJ, mine is like those long spoons you use to stir up tea with. So it's like a regular size spoon. actually a little bit smaller.
So it's not a measuring teaspoon.
But no,
No.
it was not a measuring teaspoon.
Okay, well, I can guarantee, yeah, this holds a tablespoon. They always call it a teaspoon, but it holds a tablespoon. So that's probably the difference.
Okay. Mine's in the oven now, or I would show it to you.
Yeah, it won't matter. It's fine.
It'll be delicious.
But I'm sad now because you have more than me.
She's gonna have to eat more than you though at a time. Her 4 will be your 2. It'll be okay.
You know, it always confuses me when I do these classes. Somebody will get a totally different amount of food than I get with all the same measurements. It happens every single class.
It's magic.
I don't know. I don't know.
Vicky will not cut her 8 by 8 into 36 pieces.
That's okay.
She's
'cause
only
I'll
gonna
probably-
get 9.
I'll probably eat 3 bites, 4 bites, which will be
Vicky's such
equal
a
to one of your
rebel.
bars.
Vicky's gonna get 9 out of hers.
All right, don't forget to check your bread. You don't want burnt pizza crust. Once you get that
Yeah, check.
out, if you can slide your bread onto either a cooling rack, onto your stove top without the pan, so it gets a chance to cool quicker, then go ahead and do that.
Stick it outside. No.
You
Hey,
just set it on the front porch and it'll be cold in an instant.
That's what I
Yeah.
said.
yes, you
Set it
can
outside.
set it outside. We're going to make our topping and set it aside, and then we're gonna make our caramel. So it's okay if your pizza takes some time to cool, because it'll take us a few minutes to actually get there anyway. Okay. So to make. Something smells like it's burning.
Sheila, you look so far away.
I think I got something stuck on the bottom of my pan. What's that?
How long are we cooking the bites?
They have to cook 8 to 10 minutes. So you want them to just be a nice golden color. This type of crust can go from perfectly golden to burnt quickly. So set your timer and check your bites. I will be so sad if somebody's poor bites get burnt. All right. So in a mixing bowl, we are going to combine 8 ounces of our 1/3 fat, less 1/3 fat cream cheese. If you only have whole fat cream cheese, it's okay.
Wait, what? I missed it.
All right. So 1 block of cream cheese, 8 ounces of sour cream, which is half of a normal size tub. Or if you bought a little itty bitty adorable cutesy tub like I did, it's the whole thing. So 8 ounces of sour cream, 8 ounces of cream cheese. 1 tablespoon of mayonnaise. If you don't have mayonnaise in your house, first of all, what kind of human are you? But second of all, if you don't, just skip it. It'll be fine. Just leave it out. So what? It won't hurt
Is
anything.
Is 1 tablespoon even worth getting it out?
It is, because I'm going to do a heaping tablespoon
Mm-hmm.
because it makes all the difference in the world in dips. Okay, now this is where we're going to add Rhonda's ranch powder. Before you dump it in, listen carefully. Everybody listen. Ranch powder is very strong to me. Some people love their ranch super, super strong. Some people like it much lighter. like me. If it is too strong for me, I'm turned off. It's if it gets too salty. Rhonda's, so this recipe that I gave you the measurements for ranch powder. I would start by sprinkling a little, mixing and tasting. Add ranch powder until you get to a flavor that you like. You should have these ingredients mixed up already. If you don't, it's okay. I have all night. Just mix them up in a bowl. They take just a few seconds to mix the parsley, dill weed. I'll read them off so Tracy can put them in the notes, what you need
Quick
to mix
question.
together to make a ranch powder. Okay.
Can I quickly ask a question? I made the ranch.
Yep.
Is that, is it going to be better if I just did the powder? I think I have all the ingredients. I can do that too, but.
Oh, you made the liquid ranch?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. It's supposed
So
to
I
be.
think
The
it said
powder.
one, or it said Rhonda's Ranch or all of these.
Yes. Rhonda's ranch powder or all of
Okay.
these.
All right.
So if
Okay.
you made the liquid, honestly, it's not going to hurt anything if you add it in here because it's just, but it might be weak.
It's okay. I'll just do the powders. I can
Okay.
save that for salad. Thank
All
you.
right, I'm going to read off the ingredients to mix your ranch powder. You can mix this in a bowl and set it aside. Don't put all of these ingredients straight in here because it will be too strong. I don't want anybody to have such strong ranch that they can't eat it. So 1.5 tablespoons of parsley, dried parsley. Tell me when you're ready, Tracy. Check your butter bites. Mine are cooked. I can tell. I just got a whiff. I just burnt 3 of my butter bites. I just told everybody not to burn their butter bites and I burnt my butter bites. Keep a close eye on them. They went from not cooked to burning very quickly, but I only got, looks like 1 or 2 that got burnt here.
How much longer do you think it'll take if it's in an 8x8?
According to the recipe, 8 to 10 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
KJ, I have a quick question. I made up in the cookbook, Rhonda's Ranch, the dry powder,
Yep.
It's 1 cup of it. Is that the same thing you're reading off?
Yes. Same
Okay.
idea. Yeah. You're
Okay.
going to want to start, Tina, with like a tablespoon at a time.
Okay. Okay. And I noticed that the one in the cookbook didn't have the dill, but I have some lemon dill that's amazing. You think it would be good to add
I
that?
love dill in my ranch. To me, ranch is not ranch without dill. That's why when I wrote it down here, I add dill to mine.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. So I've got 1.5 tablespoons of parsley, 1 teaspoon of dill, 3/4 tablespoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1/2 teaspoon of sea salt or salt, any salt, 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, and 2 teaspoons of dried chives. That is a whole batch of ranch powder. So in our bowl, we have 8 ounces of cream cheese, 8 ounces of sour cream, and a heaping tablespoon of mayonnaise. At this point, start by adding a tablespoon at a time into your mix and mixing really well and tasting as you go until you get it a ranchy flavor that you think is the right strength. I think just everybody is very, is different for everybody. At least it is for me. So I do not want to overdo my ranch because it would ruin my whole pizza to me. You can use a hand mixer. You can just stir this with a spoon. If your cream cheese is soft enough, it should stir up well. If it's not, just go ahead and use your hand mixer.
KJ, I got stuck after garlic.
Yep.
Oh, here.
It should be on the screen too. Half a teaspoon of sea salt.
Okay.
Quarter teaspoon of black pepper. And 2 teaspoons of chives.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
KJ,
Yeah,
did you say you were gonna add a little bit more mayonnaise than 1 tablespoon, or did I miss?
I just did a heaping tablespoon.
A heaping, okay.
All right, so I got my ranch powder here. I'm starting with a tablespoon and then I'm gonna taste it. And the rest of that powder, you just add that to some watered down Greek yogurt and you have ranch dressing, or to your kefir. And you have kefir ranch in seconds.
Lisa, I don't know if you saw my answer, but yes, that's perfect. If you let them go too much longer, then they might get burnt. That's when they start to burn quick.
Yeah.
Did you say 1 tablespoon of this dry mixture?
Start with a
Yes.
tablespoon and then taste it. And if you want it stronger, add another.
But as it sits, it will probably get stronger too.
Yep.
It'll marinate.
Mine had 2 tablespoons and it tastes just about perfect.
I will be making this later.
It's very good.
I don't like cream cheese, and it's one of the main ways that I used to be able to eat cream cheese. I don't know why, but it is. It's delicious.
Hey Jay, when we look at the little bites in the oven, are they supposed to start turning brown like the bread did?
Yeah, just a nice golden brown.
Thank you.
Mine turned a little bit darker than golden. Look what mine did.
Jay,
I
are they
wanna
all
see
like
it.
that?
Let me see them.
Bring it back, KJ. They missed it.
I
They
want to
want
see.
to. They missed your bites.
I got some that are nice golden, but I have a few that are really dark. Put it up here.
Kelly Jean. It looks like a peanut butter cup.
They don't taste burnt
Ew.
though. They're not so bad that they taste burnt. They went from cooked to really cooked really fast. So
Put some marshmallow on it and cover it in chocolate. It'll be fine.
right. My other pan is a lighter. golden
Oh,
brown.
that's pretty, Shirley.
Can you see that, KJ?
I can't. Let me see if I can scroll. Keep holding it up. Oh yeah, no, that looks beautiful.
Freeze.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
Good job. Good job. Good job.
These
Oh,
are
that
my
one
other
looks
ones.
good.
My other pan is fine. I just had one pan cook. I left in there just a couple minutes too long. Okay. Once you get your ranch sauce, your ranch cream cheese, just go ahead and set that aside. And we are going to begin working on our caramel sauce. So for this, you're going to need a small saucepan, or you can use a saute pan, a bigger saucepan. I don't get particular. Just grab a pan, go with it. And you're going to want a whisk. I'm going to bring my stovetop over to you so you can see.
Well, we're gonna need our oven still left on, right?
Yes, we are going to be putting these back in the oven for 20 minutes. Is what this says, but I do not think it's going to take 20 minutes. I think it's going to take more like 5 because I don't want to burn our bites. So, okay. Grab yourself a saucepan. And we are going to combine hold on, let's see. I on the step-by-step instructions I sent out, I realized there is an error there. I said to make caramel, you're going to combine 6 tablespoons of butter. Hold up. Before you go too far. Okay. On the if you're following the sheet that I sent out, under step number 5, it says make caramel, combine 6 tablespoons of butter, half a teaspoon of vanilla, 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And then it says 1/4 cup of butter. Those first 3, the 6 tablespoons of butter, half a teaspoon of vanilla, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt need to be crossed out. Those are a duplicate. Sorry about that, guys. So in your pan, you want 1/4 cup of butter, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 tablespoons. So 4 tablespoons of butter. Go ahead and put that on a low heat to start. We may have to turn it up, but just start with a low to get it to start melting. And to that, you're going to add 3 tablespoons of brown swerve. If you choose, the writer of the recipe does brown swerve. You can do gentle sweet mixed with a teaspoon of molasses instead. If you prefer, you can do allulose mixed with molasses. I would do the same measurements across the board in any of these. I'm going to do swerve, so it's 3 tablespoons of brown swerve. So if you are doing gentle sweet or allulose with molasses, you're going to do 3 tablespoons plus 1 teaspoon of molasses. So for me, it's 3 tablespoons of brown swerve. And to that, you're going to add 3 tablespoons of super sweet. Okay, you're going to want to have a whisk handy as this starts to melt down. Our goal is to bring this to just a light simmer. It's going to melt down and we're just going to bring it to a simmer, and then we're going to add our other ingredients once this begins to simmer. So just give it a little whisk so that it has a chance to melt and let it come to a simmer.
2 questions, KJ. How much gentle sweet or super sweet did you say?
Say that again. I couldn't hear you.
How much super sweet?
3 tablespoons.
And I just realized I'm completely out. All I have is gentle sweet.
Just add 3 more tablespoons of gentle sweet. It'll be fine.
Okay, cool. So 6 tablespoons of gentle sweet.
My goal in teaching these classes, ultimately, one of the main reasons I want to teach these classes is to show people just how nonchalant it is okay to be with cooking. I am so laid back with my cooking. If a recipe calls for something and I don't have it, I wing it. I replace it with something. I just throw it in there, and it very rarely doesn't work. It's very rare that it doesn't just come out anyway. Just wing it. It's all going to be okay. I know there are a lot of people out there that say, oh, it's a science. It's a science. Baking with baking powder and that stuff can tend to be a little more, you know, need for accuracy a little bit more. But even then, I wing it all the time and it works just fine.
Sciencey.
Yeah, sciencey.
That's a technical term.
Okay, you can see my sauce right now is just melted. Right now it looks like caramel, but that's because of the swerve. I just want to bring that to a simmer. As soon as it comes to a simmer, you want to make sure your oven stays on low heat because this will burn quickly. So keep your heat on low, especially once it starts simmering. If it's taking forever to begin simmering, you can turn the heat up long enough to get a simmer going, but then make sure you turn it down on low. And we're going to add our other ingredients once it starts simmering. So our next ingredients that you can get ready while that comes to a simmer is a 1/2 cup of heavy cream. You could also use 1/2 and 1/2 if you want, that would be fine. You could use coconut milk if that's what you had. If all you had was oat milk, you could use that. It just might be a little slower to turn into caramel, but it'll work. You're also going to get xanthan gum ready. A 1/4 teaspoon. You're just getting this ready right now. You're not adding it to your caramel yet. You can just go ahead and get it ready. So when the time comes, we're all ready. If you are at a simmer with your sweeteners, go ahead and add in your 1/2 cup of heavy cream, whisk it well, and then add in a 1/4 teaspoon of xanthan gum and whisk it well. After that, we will be adding some salt and water, but those are the first 2 ingredients we're going to go with. I'm still waiting for mine to come up to a simmer. I'm going to turn my heat up just a touch.
Okay, can you clarify exactly what you mean by simmer? Because I seem to not understand that term. I mean, I know what simmer is. Is it starting to boil? Is that what you're saying?
Just starting to boil. It's not a rapid boil. It's not a hard boil. It's just lightly bubbling.
All right, thanks.
You'll see mine too once it comes up. Caramel that's not made with allulose tends to crystallize, but one thing that I find is if I'm not using allulose, if I bring it up slowly, if I cook this from a low heat to a simmer slowly, it crystallizes less and sometimes not at all. I'm sure there's a sciencey reason behind that, but I don't know what it is. Gordon Ramsay probably could tell me.
If I don't have the xanthan gum and I only have Glucy, what would be the equivalent?
I would do probably 1/8 of a teaspoon of Glucy. I wouldn't do a lot, just probably 1/8 of a teaspoon.
But you're not putting any of this in there yet, right?
She said put it in there when you started simmering.
As soon as it starts simmering, you can add your 1/2 cup of heavy cream and your 1/4 teaspoon of xanthan gum or 1/8 of a teaspoon of Glucy.
Lisa, a 1/4 teaspoon of xanthan gum. Xanthan gum. I don't know where you went.
Did we add vanilla at some point and I missed it?
Vanilla was in our crust dough.
Okay, so not in the caramel.
Nope.
Okay, thank you.
No, that part of the instructions was a misprint.
Yeah, the first 3 ingredients that I had on the step-by-step was a duplicate. I must have copied and pasted twice.
I just spilled all of my salt all over my stove.
No.
I thought I'd share that.
You know,
All
rough
right.
to clean later.
Can you see my bowl? See how it's just lightly bubbling, real slow? That is my simmer. So now I'm gonna add my half a cup of heavy cream, and it might bubble. And I'm gonna add a 1/4 teaspoon of xanthan gum, and I'm gonna stir while I'm mixing too. You wanna whisk fast so it doesn't clump up. Xanthan
I
gum
want
will be
those whisks.
clumpy. You don't whisk it well, so whisk it up. And we're just gonna let it simmer for a couple of minutes, and it'll thicken into a nice brown caramel. Once it starts to darken, you want to do this on a low heat. Once it starts to darken and turn into a nice caramel, then you can add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt and 2 tablespoons of water. Whisk it in really well, and you should have a beautiful salted caramel. Cream there. See, I'm getting a nice thick caramel. The best way to know, it'll be 2 tablespoons, Crystal. The best way to know if your caramel is perfect is to take a metal spoon, dip it in your caramel and lift it out. And if it sticks really, really well and doesn't completely slide off, then it's good. You want a nice caramel that sticks well to your spoon. Don't touch your bowl when you're doing it though, or you burn yourself like I just did. All right.
So don't lick it.
No, don't lick it. You'll lose a tongue. All right. Once you get your nice thick caramel, add your 1/4 teaspoon of salt and 2 tablespoons of water. Might bubble again. And I just simmer it another minute or two. I just want a nice thick caramel.
AJ, mine's kind of granulated. Do I just keep stirring it?
Your heat might be a little too high.
Okay.
Turn your heat down a little, whisk it really, really well. It shouldn't, if it's granulated too much, it shouldn't seize on you, but you could try adding, I have to see it. Can you show me? I'm gonna try to find you on here. It's Kathy, right? Is that who that was?
Teresa.
Teresa.
Oh, it was
I don't know
Teresa.
if I can show you or not. Let me try here.
Mine looks a little granulated too, and I assumed it was because I used a different sugar, but I can show you mine if it's easier. I don't know if you can see.
Oh, yours
Still
looks
not-
good. Yeah, yours looks good.
Yours is more granulated? Okay.
Yeah, it looks just like that.
Okay.
So I'm not going to worry about it. I'll just leave it.
Yeah, it
Thank
should
you.
be fine. Yep.
AJ, you said a 1/4 teaspoon of salt?
Yep, 1/4
Yes.
teaspoon. All right, so this is what my caramel looks like. I shut my heat off. Nice thick. It's not so thick that you can't spoon it, but it's not like water either. Sticks to my bowl nice. It's more of a sauce than it is a thick caramel.
And how much water after the salt?
2 tablespoons.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right, so now we are going to take this sauce and you're gonna pour about a teaspoon or so. Start with a teaspoon or so. If you're doing it in your pan, you're just gonna pour all of it right on top of your crust. If you're doing it in bites, start with like a teaspoon or so, a measuring teaspoon. For anybody that's using an actual teaspoon. I'm not saying anybody's doing that. But if anybody by the name of Shirley is, make sure you use a measuring spoon. Start with
Do what I want.
I'm picking on you. Put a little
Right
bit
there with you, Charlotte. I did the same thing.
I use the half and half and it's not wanting to thicken.
It's not, add a little more xanthan.
Okay.
Yep. It might just need to simmer down a little more, simmer down. Might just need to simmer a little more, add a little more xanthan until you get a thickened caramel. Like I said, you don't want it so thick that when you hold it to your spoon, it doesn't pour out. I want it sticking to my spoon is good in this sense. See how it coats my spoon and stays on there? You see that?
But I didn't have it last time I did it either, but
I'm gonna taste it
I'm excited. You want a little nibbling?
after I blow it cool.
Hey,
All right,
KJ,
Yeah.
Okay.
do we want it? Do we want our caramel kind of thick before we add the salt and the water, or no?
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. As long once you get your xanthan gum in there, it's probably not going to thicken much more than what it does after your xanthan. Like you can continue cooking and it might thicken a little more, but it's not going to get crazy thick compared to wherever it is after putting in the xanthan gum. Does that make sense?
It does. I think we didn't simmer it long enough before we put the xanthan gum in.
It won't hurt. Just keep simmering. Just simmer for a couple more minutes.
We're gonna eat it anyway.
Yeah, it'll be delicious anyway.
I mean, it's not burnt, so.
No,
Right.
you're right. And we are the burnt caramel gals from the last cooking class. So yeah, that's us. We didn't burn it.
That's hilarious.
See my thickness.
I got hiccups. All right. Once your caramel sauce is all done, if you are putting, I get hiccups. If you're putting this in an 8x8 pan, just pour it over your crust. If you are putting it in your bites, just start with a teaspoon, put it on each one, and then, add more until you've used up all of your caramel. Just evenly distribute it all over all of your bites.
Tracy, can you see my thickness? This is thicky.
Ooh, yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, thank you.
It's not as thick as the last class, that it's a totally different recipe. This one is not my caramel sauce. This is from All Day I Dream About Food. And according to what I've read in the comments of her recipe, the caramel will thicken up more as it cooks and then cools in the fridge. It will become thicker.
So she's got a couple different caramel recipes too.
She does, yeah. There's a million ways to make caramel. There really is. I have 3 recipes just on my one site.
Butter and sugar.
Yeah.
I have a question. I'm just getting the half and half and xanthan gum in. When do I add the water and the salt?
So put your xanthan and cream in and whisk it really good and just let it cook for a minute or two, and then add your water and salt and cook it for another minute or two. I have a few that I have to sacrifice that are wee bit done. Right?
So if you did the 8x8,
yeah,
is it gonna look more like a crumble on the top?
Yes.
Because I really had to push it down into my pan to get it to stick together.
Yes.
The just kind of crumble it on top?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, she says to just top with the remaining dough, and by looking at the picture of her recipe, it's just like a crumble. I think what we're going for picture wise is kind of like a date square. You know what date squares look like? How they've got a solid crust, a date filling, and then they've got a crumbly top, and you have to eat them with a fork. That's kind of the texture we're going for here. Plus this caramel will thicken up a little more as it bakes in the oven. If you are doing the bite-sized bites, you are going to want to watch your bites. It says to cook an additional 20 minutes. That is just going to be too long if you did bites. She says to do bites, but she doesn't give specific instructions for time if you did bites. But I know it is going to burn if you do it 20 minutes. So
it's your pan.
Make sure you go slow. Start with 5 minutes and look, and then add more time as you need to. All right.
There we go.
So after you have topped your bites with caramel, just take the remainder of your dough and pour it on top. Like this is what they're gonna look like. Crumble topping.
And then after you bake it, you should freeze it and then coat it in chocolate.
No. That sounds horrible.
I like the way you think, Tracy.
That would be a nightmare to do, you guys, an absolute nightmare.
Not if it's baked and frozen.
That would be so hard. The crumbly dough would pour all over the chocolate. It would make a royal mess.
I think they need chocolate too. Just like pour a little bit on the top.
Yeah, you could melt a little and drizzle chocolate on the top. Yeah, or even inside underneath the crust.
Okay, so I'm kind of behind, and I know you've said this like 3 times, but
don't worry about it.
I just added the xanthan gum and the cream.
Yeah.
And just leave it in there for about a minute, and then just add the water and the salt.
Yep.
And then we look for if it sticks to the spoon.
Yes. Yep.
And that's it. Okay.
Yep. So this is what your bites should look like when they're done. I have a ton of crust left over, you guys. I have a ton. So when mine is done, I think I am going to take whatever crust I have left, and I'm going to put this in a baggie, and I'm going to stick it in my fridge. And this would, freezer. It's fine to eat just as it is. This would make a great crumb topping on top of lattes, on top of yogurt, on top of ice cream. It's going to taste like a sugar cookie topping.
I say, other than it's not baked, it's similar to your all the things crumble.
Yes. Yes. So once you get your topping on your bites, go ahead and stick them in the oven. And like I said, if you're doing the pan, she says to cook 20 to 25 minutes. I would start with 10 and check it just so you don't burn the bottom. I'd hate for anybody to burn their crust because everybody's oven temp is different. So start with 10, it says 20 to 25. If you're doing butter bites, like bite-sized ones like I'm doing, I would start at 5 minutes and then check them and see how they look. They should really only need a nice browning on the top. Once they're done, we're going to let them cool completely and then throw them in the fridge to sit for a couple of hours. You can taste one before you put it in the fridge, but I think they're going to be much better after they've been in the fridge for a couple of hours because they're really going to stick together well at that point. So go ahead and stick them in the oven.
Okay, I have another question.
Yeah.
Mine's really watery, but it's sticking to the spoon, so that's okay.
As long as you put a nice coating on your spoon, it's going to be runny. Hers doesn't specify.
Can you see?
Let me see.
Yeah.
Hold on.
No, that's pretty good.
I can't. Yeah. I haven't got to, okay. Yeah.
It did drip still, but
I might add a little extra xanthan and whisk it in.
Okay.
Doesn't need to be a ton, but a little bit. You don't want to.
I don't ever use xanthan. I'm scared of it. Well, I just don't cook that much.
See,
but is a quarter of a teaspoon a lot? Or
no, that's fine. See how when it's stuck to my spoon, you can't really see through it that well.
Okay, yeah, I see that.
It's thicker. I can wipe it off and it's thicker. I can lick a spoon and it tastes like a sugar daddy.
I feel like these bites need chocolate.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I was gonna say, I thought I had more butter bites. I didn't finish popping them. a whole nother pan here.
Do as KJ says, not as she does.
Right. If you do it as I do, it's probably not gonna come out right.
You probably burn them.
Right. You're gonna have burnt butter bites with hair in them. She's
Well, if
top
it's your hair,
notch.
at least it's clean.
She's thought she's gonna win an award for top teacher of the year for do as I do, or do as I say, not as I do. Okay. Yeah, well, I didn't have a ton left over. I had about quarter cup, I guess, so not a terrible amount. I could have probably made it work if I had pushed it in on the top of my bites.
So it kind of looks like when you put the caramel in, that it kind of solidified a little bit more before you put the crumble on.
Yes.
Was that it? Okay.
I think it's going to.
Okay.
All right, I'll give everybody a few minutes to finish up and then we will assemble our pizza. Just make sure you set a timer.
Hey, KJ,
Yeah.
just FYI, for those of us that have 18, I got a hot mess going on in this pan because, my little bites are over full of caramel.
Oh, darn.
You know why?
Why?
Because you used a teaspoon, not a teaspoon.
I used a teaspoon of caramel.
They named those spoons wrong. It's a big spoon and a little spoon.
There you go.
We just tasted our caramel, and I wish I would have used gentle sweet instead of super sweet. It's like super, super, super sweet.
That means it's good.
I think it will taste less sweet, I think, when combined with the crust.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because the
I hope
crust,
so.
I
They'll
think
balance each other out.
I think it's gonna be, yeah, I think it'll balance each other out because the crust,
Didn't have any sweetener.
it only had a half a cup of gentle.
Mm.
I feel like it's going to balance it out well.
Awesome.
Did you use your
we
salt
said-
yet?
Yes.
Because when I tasted mine before I did the salt, it tasted like too sweet, and then I did the salt, and then it was perfect.
Yep. We added the salt, but that's okay. I think I've just been. I think maybe my taste buds have finally adjusted to not super sweet stuff.
Well,
which is okay.
Everybody's recipes, like this one is all day I dream about food. If this were Brianna Thomas's recipe, she would have used half the sweetener, I can guarantee. And so these recipes that you find online, they're all up to personal, interpretation. Tracy likes hers extra sweet. I like mine just sweet. Brianna, sometimes I taste her sweets, or Brianna, I always pronounce it wrong. I'll taste her sweets and be like, is this meant to be dessert? It's not nearly sweet enough, because she likes hers hardly sweet at all.
My taste buds have not got the memo. Apparently it's not sugar I'm addicted to, it's sweetness.
It's sweetness, yeah.
At least this doesn't spike my blood sugar.
Next time you try the caramel, put a little sprinkle of the leftover crumbs on it and it won't taste so sweet. If you're taste testing anyway.
I just make Twix bars. This is a lot of work.
Twix bars are more work than this.
It's the same thing.
Well, it kind of is, isn't it? Only the
You
Twix.
the Twix, you're gonna put caramel or chocolate on the top of it instead of the crumble. I do that and then the crumble.
All right, I think mine are done in just 5 minutes. Look at them bubble. Don't they look good?
How long do I want the caramel to sit in this before I put the crumble on top?
Oh, do it right now.
Yeah, just put your crumble right on top. You don't have to let it sit. When they're done, they'll just be a nice brown. That's all you're looking for, is a nice brown. All right, so for our pizza, your pizza crust should be nice and cool at this point. You're gonna want to put this on if you were serving this at bringing it somewhere or serving it, you know, if you wanted to be fancy, you would want to put it on a serving tray. I'm putting mine right back on my cookie sheet. Okay, so this is the easy part. All we are going to do is we're going to spread our ranch dressing that we made. And then we're going to put our toppings on. The suggested toppings for this pizza, I went ahead and bought all of the toppings. I'm going to put all of them. Her suggested toppings are a cup of cheddar cheese. You could use any type of cheese you preferred, really, but a cup of cheddar cheese, 3/4 a cup of shredded carrots, broccoli florets, 3/4 a cup of broccoli florets, she does basically 3/4 cup of everything, all the vegetables she lists 3/4 cup. So broccoli florets, green and red pepper finely diced, green onions, black olives. You could use all of them. You could use one of them. Do whatever you want on your top of your pizza. I'm going to do all of them except the onions, because I can't do raw onions. My mouth will itch for days if I do raw. So grab your ranch dressing and coat it, and a nice thick layer is good with this pizza. This pizza tastes better with a thicker layer of the coating. So if you're like, holy cow, this looks like a lot of topping. Yeah, it's what makes it good. It's how I really like it. It's what gives it lots of flavor. And this pizza, you just assemble it. There is no cooking at this point. You're just going to assemble it and put it in your fridge.
Blend it on.
This pizza is going to taste good tonight and 100 times better tomorrow. This pizza, as it sits in the fridge, that ranch dressing tomorrow is going to taste even better. Once you pull your bites out of the oven, you can shut off your oven. We are done with our ovens at that point. I like to go right to the edge and not leave an edge of the crust so that every bite has some of this topping on it.
I can't wait to hear how the no carb easy bread is with it.
It's gonna be good. Hannah, I always loved this as a kid. It was at every baby shower, bridal shower. They always had this. And even though I hated broccoli and I hated raw vegetables as a kid, I liked this pizza. My mom used to make it a lot.
I used to use, I made this was the cold pizza I used to make.
Mm-hmm.
Then I also used to make a ranch pepper pizza with crescent bread, or crescent rolls, you know, like, so similar crust. and you saute up peppers, and then you use ranch as the topping, and then I feel like I'm missing some steps, but then you put the sauteed peppers on the pizza and some cheese, and then you bake that. I may have eaten too many of those.
I'm curious, do we add anything for protein to it?
Yeah, you would want, if you were gonna eat this on its own, it would be good to have some kind of protein with it, whether in your drink or on the side. My mom always used to put ham on hers.
Put
Lisa,
chicken in it.
this is what you're looking, your butter bites are gonna be kind of soft. These are
oops.
a eat with a spoon snack, okay? So, or as they firm up, they're gonna get easier to take out and eat. But this is what mine looks like. It's just kind of a golden brown. We're gonna let them cool completely and then put them in the fridge, and they will firm up and be easier to pop out and eat. You're just looking for a golden brown.
Twix is easier to eat.
KJ, is there any certain order you put these toppings on? Do you put the cheese on
However
first?
you want to do it. I'm gonna put my shredded cheddar on first and then top with my veggies. But there's real no rhyme or reason. Just choose what toppings you want and slap them on.
I used to throw all my toppings in a bowl and then put it on.
Yeah, you could do that. I love cheddar. Yum. Already looks fantastic. All right.
And done.
Right, let's leave it with this. No.
Cheese pizza.
She recommends 3/4 of a cup of each veggie, but I feel like that's going to be a ton. I mean, that can be fine. If that's what you want, that's fine. I'm just eyeballing it with my ingredients. I'm just like you would a regular pizza. You're just topping it. So it looks like the way you want it. When I do my broccoli, I'm going to cut it into, I'm going to break off tiny pieces. I don't want great big stems of broccoli on mine. That's up to you. However you want to do it, but I'm going to cut mine into little pieces. And I think part of the reason I used to like this with broccoli when I was a kid is because my mom would do it this way. She would cut the florets. Can you see how I'm cutting the florets? Where I'm not really leaving the stem at all. I'm cutting them so I'm getting just the like shreds. That's how mom used to do it. And I always liked it that way. So it wasn't great big chunks of broccoli, but it was more the shreds. That's how I like it. So that's what I'm going to do. I don't know if mom ever did that on purpose or that's just how it came out when she did it.
Hey, Jay, I have a quick question with the crust. I didn't make that this time because I was late. But could that be used? My mom makes a recipe with biscuits on the bottom, and then they're called barbecued flapjacks, but it's basically just like a sweet sloppy Joe on top. Would the crust hold up to that, do you think?
I think so. Do you cook you
cook it first, the crust a little bit, and then you add the toppings and cook it?
So it would it's pretty sturdy. No carb easy bread crust is pretty sturdy. If your toppings are really wet, it's not going to stay real dry underneath it like if you used a real biscuit. So it might be a little wet. So if anything, I would cook it longer than you would think. Like I would cook it until it was done. And then I would put my sloppy Joe or whatever it was toppings on top at that point. Like I would make sure it was done before I topped it and baked it.
As crisp as possible. Okay, yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. I went the easy route with my peppers. I figured a bell pepper at the grocery store tonight was $2. And if I got a red one and a green one, it's going to be $4. and this was $4.29. And it had red, yellow, green, and red onions, which I can't have the red onions, but I figured it was worth it to have somebody else chop the vegetables. Yes, if you are gonna want a protein of some sort with this, you can add a protein to the top, or you can just have a protein on the side. With this, have some easy chocolate milk, have some collagen tea, have a trimmy, depends what time of day you're eating this. Add some collagen to something you're eating. Get some protein in there somehow. You could add chicken to the top of this, add some ham to the top of it. Ham, little bits of ham are not really going to give you a ton of protein, but
Bacon.
bacon, yeah. I'm gonna open my black olives. Where is my can opener?
I think I'll make this for Friday night's pizza.
I think this would just be so great to take somewhere, you know, for a Christmas gathering. I'm going to a Christmas party on the 9th. And I may take this. This may be a good thing for me to take. And I need a dessert. I need a good dessert idea to take to the party. I want something that off planners could enjoy that's not cheesecake.
So my my history with this kind of thing was with a sweet topping instead of a ranch sour cream. They use like a cream cheese sweet thing and then put different kinds of toppings. Now, of course, you'd have to trim Healthy Mama it, but instead of going savory, we went sweet.
Now, when you did that, did you do that with a sugar cookie crust or with a crescent? Okay, so that's more of a sugar cookie one. I've had that as well. This one was always done on crescent rolls, where that one that you're talking about was the sugar cookie. So good. I love that. That could so easily be THMified. So this crust that we just made for these bites, you could use that and just press it out into a circle on a pan, pack it down real tight, just shape it with your hands into a circle and bake it. Let it cool. Take your cream cheese, maybe add some brown swerve, some cinnamon, maybe a little yogurt. Whip it up until you got a nice, sweet, yummy topping, baobab, vanilla, cherry extract, whatever you think, try it, mix it together, put that on top, and then top it with berries. Good stuff. There's my pizza. That's what it should look something like, especially if you have the most beautiful black olives on top. I love olive.
Now cut it and try it.
Yes.
Go.
You gotta take a picture first.
Rhonda, that looks great. Here's mine. It looks good. Yeah.
Let me get my pizza cutter.
Looks great, Tina. Now you have to try it. Cut it up. Eat it. It's ready. Oh, Shirley, it looks good.
Everything I've ever made was ugly. For the first time it's pretty.
You're being watched.
Picture.
Oh yeah. Good job, Amber.
Yay. It looks awesome. I'm going to bake it on each individual piece because I got people here that don't eat meat.
Good idea. All right, Shirley. How's it? Thumbs up? Thumbs down?
Fantastic.
The bread's good?
Fantastic.
Yay.
Oh yeah.
One serving. 2 servings. Cut it in half.
I would say.
I say technically I do 8.
Okay, yeah, I would say.
It looks good, Sandy.
I would say 9 slices. Cut it in thirds both ways, I think. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is good.
Okay, she's crazy.
All right.
I would do 8.
There's my pizza.
Looks good.
bacon bits because husband wants bacon bits.
Mm-hmm. Gotta keep those husbands happy.
That was good. Man, that brings me right back.
I've never seen this before. I guess they just, maybe they have it in the South and I just didn't know it, but oh my gosh.
So we can eat it now, or do we need to refrigerate it first?
Oh no, eat it.
All
Dig
right,
in.
so he's been waiting on dinner and he's making ends meet, so making do. So I'm gonna go take him his food.
Yeah,
Thanks,
Ward
bud.
is getting to
Bye.
eat this.
So we would make that with my friend
Those
and I
look
made the
so
ranch.
good.
Mm-hmm. Really good.
I made
Don't
that
forget to
ranch
take
one that
your
I was telling you.
pictures.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, before everybody finishes off their pizza, don't forget to take pictures.
Teenager approved.
Yay!
I gotta be honest, I think that's one of the best uses of that I've ever tasted. All right, I'm gonna try my butter bite. These, see how they're still falling apart? They're starting to hold together as they cool, but they're too warm to hold together. Once these have been in the fridge for an hour or so, they'll hold together much better. But I'm gonna get the taste.
I turned my oven off, but left them in there and they got crispier on top. And the I don't know, can you see them? Let's see.
I gotta scroll through, hold on.
Shirley and Tracy, there's my pizza.
Ooh, it looks good, Faith. Tina, I can't. It just look the golden brown.
Yeah, they got a lot browner and my caramel kind of mixed in with the crumble on top.
Ooh. I wonder if that's why it's just a bacon for so long.
Man, I just tried one of those butter bites. Those are bomb. Mom, do you remember this pizza?
I want that pizza. Is your mom on?
She's right there, but she's not responding. Do you remember this pizza, Mom?
She's not on my screen.
Hey, KJ.
Gracie, you see mine?
No, hang on.
No.
Oh,
Yes.
Karen, that's beautiful.
Beautiful.
I've been cut into it.
Ooh, Shirley.
Can't wait.
Is it good?
Can you see that, KJ?
Yeah.
Okay.
Beautiful.
I'm waiting for you to eat it.
That looks gorgeous, Betty.
Good job, Nikki.
Awesome, Nikki.
Share your pictures. Hashtag cooking with KJ.
Yes.
Look at my butter bites though. They're sad looking. Mine exploded.
Oh dear.
no.
What'd you do?
I don't know. They exploded.
Put them in the fridge and let them firm up really well. They'll be fine. They'll taste good.
Ooh, Sandy put chocolate on hers. Good job.
If you are willing, take pictures, post it on the THM Coaching Connection. That page, or on Joyful Life with KJ unofficial coaching connection, either one of those, the coaching connection, my coaching connection, or the THM coaching connection. It would be lovely because I want to see your pictures so I can go on and steal them all.
Really? Are you okay there? She's like in heaven over there.
Do you like it,
I
Shirley?
see your face.
Oh,
Yes.
Maribeth,
Yes,
yours
I
look
do.
Susan.
beautiful.
This is like
Your-
torture.
Your bars look beautiful, Maribeth.
I'll finally have something to post that looks decent.
Oh, so
Because my
good.
stuff never looks decent, but I post anyways.
Let's see a picture, babe.
How is
Are
it
we allowed?
Cold. Oh my goodness, it's so good.
You all
What did you
right?
say, Shirley?
I said, I want to see yours.
You want to see yours again?
Sheila, careful.
Oh, Faith, those are beautiful. You got a lot of red in yours. What's in there?
Probably jalapenos.
Right?
Red pepper and the carrots, shredded carrots.
Oh, shit.
I've got hot spicy cheese and a cheddar cheese mix.
And the broccoli.
I put some quarter cherry tomatoes on mine too.
Oh, that sounds good.
'Cause I
I
had some.
avoided the olives. I'm not into olives.
Oh, I love them. I have
Oh,
some
and green onions.
green feta stuffed olives here. I almost put some of those on it, but
Ew.
Alright,
So
guys,
the only
well,
drawback I see to making these in the mini tins is that you have to lick the paper.
the drawback. Crumble
Until
it
they
up in a
harden
ball
up.
and
She
chew
said
on it.
they're supposed to pop right out. I wonder if they make mini silicone cups.
I think once they go, they do, yeah. And I think once they have gone in the fridge for a couple of hours, they'll hold
Ooh,
together.
Faith, those look good. Come back.
I think one of these in bar form with some nice on-plan vanilla ice cream on top. Kind of warm with vanilla ice cream would be.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
So I got
Right
36.
Ooh, those are
small
pretty.
one, 36
Kathy.
mini.
They're a mini silicone pan.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And there's 24 of them.
Still go back to its pain and butt to wash them.
Turn them inside out.
Yeah, this kitchen is a total mess now.
I don't have a dishwasher.
I don't either.
Oh, good.
Okay, guys,
not
well,
good, but-
somehow we managed to end just about at 8 o'clock every time. It goes 2 hours. I don't know. One of these times I'm like, it's gonna go till 11
It's
o'clock.
9 o'clock.
That's what I meant. 9, 2 hours. I meant 2 hours.
It's 8 o'clock here.
I'm like, she skipped time zones.
Hey, nice shirt, Vanessa. Looking good, girl.
Are you
Got
guys
me some
twinsing?
leopard.
Oh, yeah.
All right, guys. Well, it's been a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed this and I hope you enjoy your treats. Post pictures on my page. I want to see them posted on Flames or the Coaching Connection or wherever. And I will see you next Monday for our next Zoom. And then on the 9th, we'll have our next cooking class. Merry Christmas, you filthy animal, with Muddy Buddies and Down and Dirty peanut butter pie. It's going to be good. Come prepared to get dirty. All right, you guys. I love you all. I'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Good night.